All right. So anyways, well, I was just going to say, Sinatra in this documentary, I thought, I grew up, there's certain tarot cards. It's like, Woody Allen's funny. Sinatra was a good singer, but he was a jerk to the ladies, and he was racist to Sammy. But I mean, I was surprised to hear the story of Frank Sinatra, was how long that story is, and how many times he was the underdog, and how hard he had to work to be taken seriously.
I love Sinatra, and I was so excited to see that documentary. I didn't like that documentary. I thought that was a real fucking fluff piece on him.
It was.
It was so friends and family made. And they gloss over what a complete virulent asshole he was to people.
Well, I don't know.
And they go, he knew some. He knew the mafia guys, but he was always this. And also, he was a great anti-bigotry guy. All that stuff is true.
I learned that stuff from that documentary, though. So maybe if you take a step back, maybe it was just enough of he was an asshole. Because I learned that he was an asshole from that documentary. I learned that he was racist in the show.
You don't hear all the threats, possible murders. He was under indictment for murders and stuff like that. He didn't do, but
a lot of that stuff was maybe apocryphal because they were honest about the stuff that was real, like his associations with the actual mob.
I think they glossed over it. There's that one moment where Harry Belafonte was disappointed in him for being racist to Sammy for a couple Rat Pack summits in Vegas. Other than that, he was that's the only time in that documentary where I feel like anyone gives him holds him to the fire at all. He threatened and bullied, and he was such an ass. Now also great in other ways, but as someone referred to him. A friend of his that worked with him called him a 24-karat manic depressive. So you got both ends of that.
It's that my way thing. I guess it was I finally needed to see through a lens of I've only ever thought he was just an entitled jackass that was just born to the manor. I didn't hear the underdog story a little bit. He had to, but the fact that he was in his, this is what I was just talking about. I can't say in his heart or in his mind because there's a difference there. He was politically early on in his life. He was absolutely he wanted to make people understand that racism was wrong because it had affected Italians, and so why should black people be different? This guy is going to do that every 8 minutes regardless. We're going to test that theory in a moment. See if we can connect the dot the next time he's
here's a problem.
Because right now we're not sure if he loves racism or hates it or loves documentary filmmaking, Frank Sinatra or Batman. We're not sure. But by the end of the night we're going to go, oh, he loves self-reliance. That's it. He's a Walt Whitman fan.
So, we're going to connect all those dots. It's going to draw.
A theme of that guy was about self-reliance. Okay. Spoilers.
Hang on. So, for instance, when they talk about his rise to fame, and all of a sudden he's singing in the big clubs and he's on the marquee, and all the Bobby Soxers are out there. And in interviews, he's like, yeah, you got these girls out there and everyone's screaming. What they just happened to not mention is that was all fucking paid. They've shipped all those girls in for that shit. It was all PR stunts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He wasn't instantly that famous. They took a bunch of girls and sat him out there and said, when he comes out, scream like fucking mad. Here's a whatever they gave them. Why not mention that in the documentary that every other documentary and book about him is mentioned?
Okay.
They just went right across
interesting
little tidbits. And all of a sudden, boom, bang, bing, but the people were throwing the thing the stuff and the that. It's you were also just from the very get-go, he was a very political, very driven, ambitious guy, and that included,
which is pretty fascinating. And we could allow, Howard Hughes was a very flawed guy, but
Did I ever tell you the Murray Langstrom Sinatra story? You know Murray Langstrom? He was the unknown comic, the guy that wore the paper bag in his head. And I was doing a show with the improv guys at the Improv in Melrose.
Give me 1 second. Scooter, do you need just a Gatorade or a weird name or anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I think you're easy on the eyes, and it's good to have you up here.
Okay, that's fine.
I think the ladies like it. I haven't been getting tweeted or anything, but
bottle of water, maybe.
Yeah. I'll take a bottle of water. Sure.
It's a nice balance. I think is looking at me with my.
All right, so somebody, I think it was Drew Carey, goes Murray, tell Jeff, he'll love it. Tell Jeff your Sinatra story. And so he says, this is fucking great. We're at the bar at the Improv, and he goes, he was doing Carson. I don't know what year it would have been, but it would have been probably late 70s, early 80s. I don't know. And he's doing Carson, and he makes a joke about Sinatra because he was in the news for another divorce. And it's some joke about when it comes to cheating on wives, Sinatra does it his way. Oh, not even a really major zing or whatever. He's just being a silly Murray joke. He goes home that night to a shitty apartment. Phone rings, and he's tired and he's exhausted. And he goes, "Hello, are you Murray?" "Yes." "This is Frank Sinatra." He goes, "Hey, fucking Tim." One of his friends, like, "Motherfucker, I'm tired." Click. Ring, 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 ring. "Hello. Don't hang up on me. This is Frank Sinatra." "Hey, Tim, go fuck yourself, man. Like, I've been working all day." Click. 10 minutes goes by. Phone rings. "Hello."
10 minutes. So like, is it Frank Sinatra staring at the phone there?
No, Dan, you're about to find out why the time passes there. Time passes. He thinks that's that. The phone rings. "Hello," and he says, "Murray, this is Milton Berle. Do you recognize my voice?"
Oh, God.
And he goes, "Yes, Milty." Like, "Hello." He goes, "That was Frank Sinatra," and he's super, super mad right now. He goes, "Do not hang up the phone. Listen to what I have to tell you." He goes, "He's going to call you back. We're trying to calm him down. He's going to send someone. He's going to send someone to your house to have you fucked up because his kid watches that show, and you just made a joke about daddy fucking around on mommy."
I'm confused again. Family values? Does he like family values? Or adultery? I don't know.
He still hasn't gotten out of self-reliance necessarily.
Right.
We might come back there. He's just drawing a larger circle around whatever it is.
I hope we don't find he just like saying, "Yup." Oh, that's gonna burn me up.
I'm almost certain that's it, Dan. Dan, don't let him break your heart. So, you got values?
Okay, all right, okay. He's got values.
I'm a human being.
In an almost shark jumping breaking of his yups, he's all right. Good. That's good. I'm glad you did that. Thank you. We know you have values. We're gonna track them.
So Milton Berle was like, "This is not an alert. This is not a drill. He's going to send someone to your house and have you fucked up." Like that, and he says, "Murray, he's absolutely capable of doing that because he does that. Like, he's a very, very violent man, and this is not a fucking drill." He goes, "He's going to call you back when we calm him down, and you're not going to say anything but apologize, and you don't say anything else but you're sorry, okay?" And he's like, "Milty, it was just a joke. Like, we're comics. That's our job." He's like, I know, but that doesn't matter right now. I'm
Milton Berle. I haven't told a joke for 38 years. I'm famous for standing there."
So he's like, "I'm just trying to help you out." So he's like, "God, this is fucking bullshit." And so as Murray's telling me the story, he's like, "I'm like, fuck this guy, you know?" And so the phone rings, and he's like, the whole time he's like, "I'm gonna tell this guy, jump in a lake and like take my chances or whatever." I like that.
I like how classy he is about it. I'm gonna tell this guy, go build a wheel and make like a leaf and just get out of here and take it on the road, Jack.
This story's a while ago. I'm paraphrasing, Murray. I cannot quote verbatim on this. So the phone rings, and he picks it up, and he goes, "Hello," and all he hears is, "Talk." And that's it.
That wasn't the deal.
And so he goes, "I think about it for a second. It's just not. I'm so sorry. I apologize from the bottom of my heart. I'm a big fan of yours. I would never do anything." And he goes on and on and on. "I'm a fan of your music. I would never insult your family. It was just a thing. Blah, blah, blah. It'll never happen again. Blah, blah." And then I eventually click. And that was it. No.
Resolution?
Okay. No. Family values is gone. Family values is out. Self-reliance is out on that one.
Also, there's the danger of the copycat yipping.
Is it a copycat yooper?
I don't know.
I'll say,
Nope.
I mean,
that was me.
It's not a hard one to copycat.
Yeah. So they're getting closer together too. It's like in the movie theater, somebody gets a laugh, and then it's like, oh boy. I hope he sees that pattern and tries to trick us. Space it out, fan it out, blow our minds. Let's hear the next yip like 9:15.
That was a good copycat.
Okay, so we've talked too long about the Frank Sinatra documentary. I had only heard these this zeitgeist stuff. So it was a good start to watch like this, as you say, I think it's very accurate, as a friends and family produced documentary. It had that tone. Yeah. But even within that, there were the stories of all these things that you had heard, them spread out on a timeline, like a big, long SpongeBob nose. and just bringing it back around to you, and just like I already thought that was so interesting because I do believe. Here's the thing that makes it relevant right now in this room, is that here was this guy who at a very young age he was he's putting himself out there about this new topic of racism, and I believe these stories are true, because why wouldn't they be? Like the idea of him taking Sammy Davis Jr. under his arm and really actually caring about this emerging thing of black people aren't human beings.
I think he found Sammy singing at Ciro's and saw him, and he went to Vegas. He's like, this guy's going to be in the thing. And they're like, no, we can't put him in the main room. He's like, no, he's main room. And then they all had to live in Darktown, which is a shanty town outside of Vegas. And all of the musicians, like Count Basie's band, Count Basie, you couldn't fucking go and stay in Vegas. And Sinatra said, they stay in the hotel. He's like, if you don't want Sammy Davis in your hotel, you don't want Frank Sinatra in your hotel. And he completely bullied them around.
So there you go, megalomania as progress. It's like very interesting. But ownership. Still ownership, right? So this is the epiphany that Aaron and I had while we were watching the documentary, because we were like puzzled by it. It was like, well, wait, because they showed clips of those Rat Pack shows that are just like undeniably like anti, like not even I thought back that it was just sort of like, you know, you make gay jokes and it's like, oh, there's a gay guy on stage and you make a gay joke and it's like kind of like, well, they also it's sort of like refreshingly uncomfortable and people giggle uncomfortably, and it's like sort of like the comedy the edge is like sort of like it's hit and miss, and it's like, you know, blah blah blah. But they showed clips of like Dean Martin like Sammy Davis Jr. touches him, and the joke is that he doesn't want him to touch
There's
him.
an old joke on one of the Caesars, I think it's Caesar's Palace Rat Pack ones, where he goes, Sammy, I love you your kids, I'll hang out with you, I'll play sports with you, I'll go golfing with you, but don't touch me.
Yeah, I'll go to shul with you, but don't touch me. Yeah. But it was also like the joke was that he was angry. Like the joke was like the joke. You could tell that if the joke was going to make anyone laugh, that it was coming from a Michael Douglas falling down angry white man place, and not from a hilarious we're all starting to mix together.
That clip is a bummer. Him picking Sammy up and saying, I'd like to thank the NAACP for the statue. That's hilarious.
Sure, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, well, maybe we're friends and maybe we say these like weird things.
Whenever Sammy would come out there, because they worshipped Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank's nickname for him was the Great Entertainer. Like he was like nobody's bet. Like he was honored to be on a stage with Sammy. And there's a lot of Rat Pack stuff where you listen to it, and whoever's singing gets shit from the other guys, except for Frank. Nobody fucks with Frank while he's out there. But everybody else is taking a dump on each other and doing jokes. The easy target Sammy jokes are black guy jokes, like because Rickles is in the next room doing all that shit. But there's lots of stuff where Sammy does like super like black power jokes on them. So it's like, oh boy, it's like, as soon as we get in the lead, you guys are going to go first, and the crowd cheers.
Right.
And
okay. So do you have a super point to make, or can I stitch right that from there?
No, they gave it back and forth, but certainly Sammy, I think, was the butt of a lot of that.
Right. So Aaron and I are watching this, and we're going like, this is weird. Here's this Boy Scout guy who, like, very early in his career, when he actually had a lot of things to risk before he was in total control, is actually early on putting himself out there because as an Italian, saying like, you know what, when I was young, Italians were maligned and not let in, and I'm a successful Italian now, and I don't want to watch this shit roll downhill. And so what how is that guy? What are these Rat Pack shows? And then we're sitting there puzzling through it, and then Aaron said, well, the world changed underneath all that. Maybe the people that are at the forefront of, for instance, and this is, I think, the example that we can relate to is 10 years ago, who were the feminists? How many of them are still in all that has come up in the last 10 years? Like, when feminism meant just being a fan of women. Like when it was just like, hey, give the girls a hand, and maybe give me a kiss, ladies. Is there a subsection of the most outspoken guys that beta male quotient where it was like, I'm a rabid, virulent beta male feminist, and then 10 years later there is that person that personality type that's like, when the shit hits the fan, when the rubber meets the road, then it's like, whoa, wait a minute. I was doing that because I like fairness. I like ownership. I like hierarchy. I like my comfort. My comfort is now being threatened. The thing that changed in between Boy Scout Frank Sinatra saying, fuck the world if you're going to be racist, and Frank Sinatra, like, publicly flogging emotionally a black man on stage for his adoring fans. The thing that changes in between there is that the world changes, and the thing that remains the same is Frank's in control and saying "fuck you." Yeah.
I don't think he liked being told what to do. There's a story that when he, and also, I mean, it's all been told. There's so many documentaries and books about him and TV pieces. When he first started out, they made him change his name when he was working at some club, and I think it was Frank Diamond. He had to change his name to, and he did a couple gigs as Frank Diamond. I might be getting that wrong. And he changed his name back. He's like he was working at a club. He goes, I can't tell my mom and my grandma and my family that I changed the family name. And he said, you'll never work with the name Sinatra because no one wants to listen to a nigger record. And because the Irish were niggers, the Italians were niggers. Like that's what white people called anybody that was not a white Protestant. And so, his dukes were always up about being told what to do, and also he was Italian. He was really fucking proud of that. And they said, "You'll never work because Bing Crosby is he's in charge." And he's like, "Fuck Bing Crosby." Like he went after Bing Crosby.
And then later had to get gone after by Elvis and endure that. He had to do that same.
He works really hard to get the first Catholic president elected. He had a lot to do with Kennedy getting elected.
Yeah, and that's where the mob stuff was honest. That's what I thought was ironic, because I thought the other stuff was apocryphal, because in a documentary where they were honest about the fact that, actually, no, he got Kennedy elected because he had mob influence. And period.
Yeah,
I was like, well, this seems like an honest thing to say. So maybe if they say the other stuff is apocryphal, maybe it's apocryphal. But you're right. It was clearly produced by people that were.
The thing was always that he was in charge. I think I've even heard when he was a little kid, his mom was super alpha, really in charge, and the kids would come over and she'd make dinner for all the neighborhood kids, and. He was a little guy. He wasn't a tough guy, but he was like the mayor of his block when he was a little shrimpy kid. Because he was just super in charge. He had to be the boss of everything, even as a little boy.